Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha. Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike. Sharanye Trambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanuman Ji Maharaj ki Jai. धर्म की जय हो, अधर्म का नाश हो, प्राणियों में सद्भावना हो, विश्व का परम कल्याण हो. नमः पार्वती पते हर हर महादेव हर. Hari Om. Namaskar to everybody. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 20th of January 2026. I want to offer Anantakoti Namaskaram, Anantakoti prostrations, Dandavat Pranam, and Anantakoti Pushparpan, as well as Pradikshana to all the great sages, Bhaktas, devotees present on the planet today, and to Bhagavan, Paramatma, residing in the Hridaya Akash, in the Atma Tattva of every single being at all times, in all places. We are continuing further from yesterday on this beautiful, Ati Sundar, extraordinarily aesthetic, extraordinarily beautiful bond between the Bhakta and Bhagavan. इसको क्या कहते हैं? Bhakta Bhagavan Sambandha. Yesterday, the terminology we were looking at was Aham Jivam Granthi. So every day I will try to present one new concept or term from Sanskrit or from Vedanta or one of the scriptures, Gita, etc. So our progression continues further. So first of all, this Satyam Shivam Sundaram that we looked at yesterday. Satyam is what? Truth, that which is real, factual. Shivam is auspiciousness, life, consciousness. Sundaram is beauty, that which draws the heart towards the divine, towards God. Saundarya. I also mentioned yesterday that Satyam and Shivam are more difficult to approach, but Saundarya is actually an immediate doorway, because that is our direct sense level experience. Now, this sense level experience is called Vishaya Sukh. So this is the terminology. There's two terms that are connected together. Well, if you're taking notes, Vishaya Sukh, that means the enjoyment, the happiness. These words are not the best words actually in English, but when we use the word Sukh, it means a type of psychological, sensory level, bodily level, stimulative enjoyment. That is called Sukh. But that is not Ananda. Isme dhyan rakhna. So the distinction between Sukh and Ananda is a very, very massive difference. We'll talk about that. But the terminology for today, Vishaya Sukh. And Vishaya Sukh is relative. There are levels of Vishaya Sukh. Vishaya meaning, remember, if you're writing this down, to be more clear, you can say Panch Vishaya Sukham. Panch Vishaya Sukh or Sukham. Likh dena, is points likh dena. So it becomes so clear inside that you can see what this is exactly. And then we will see how that connects to Aham Jivan Granthi, how it connects to Satyam Shivam Sundaram, how that connects to the Atma. Everything is connected together. It's only one tattva, one reality, one truth that is being expounded in thousands of different ways. Right? So let's be very clear. Is it true that the senses are getting experience from the outside world? Yes. Obviously. How many senses do we have? 5 senses. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. This is called Pancha Vishaya. Panch means 5. Vishaya means Vishaya actually means the experience that comes between the interaction between the sense organs and the objects outside. The objects are just whatever they are outside, but the senses are grabbing that. They are doorways into the mind of those objects, the reality outside. That is why the 5 sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, touch, sense of touch and tongue, these are called Gnan Indriya. So another term to write down. Be very clear. This word Gnan, it doesn't mean the realization of the Atman or Brahman in this context. When this word Gnan Indriya, you may see that sometimes in different expositions, writings. Gnan here simply means the knowledge that comes of the outside world. That is called Jnana. In terms of the sense level enjoyment, sense level experience. First of all, there's sense level experience. Isn't it so? But in that experience, there is a range of sukh. From Uttam, Madhyam, Kanish. Now, let's break it down further. This Vishaya Sukham has 3 levels. We've talked about this before. Make sure it's very clear. I'm reviewing it very quickly. Uttam meaning highest level, Madhyam is medium level, Kanisht is low level. Isn't it so? We looked at many examples before. I won't go through all that. That is there in everything, all throughout life experiences. Now this Sukham, enjoyments, or what we call Sukh, the experience, Anubhav, it is on a range. It is on a continuum. So it is relative. Now, I have to see the Sanskrit or Gujarati Hindi words for the word continuum. I'm not sure about that. Continuum means that it is not absolute. See the word akshar. Akshar means absolute. And the word shar, K-S-H-A-R, means relative. So maybe these are the 2 words. That would be the right ones actually. जो अक्षर ब्रह्म जिसको कहते हैं, अक्षर कहते हैं. Akshar means, see there's 2 words. Kshar, K-S-H-R. Kshar means everything that is constantly changing. That is called Kshar. The transitory world is called Kshar. Tasmat Sharam Matitoham. Bhagwan कहते हैं मैं शर और अक्षर से भी पर हूँ in chapter 15. Shar, Akshar and Purushottam. This is chapter 15 of the Gita. Tasmat Sharam Matitoham Aksharat Apichottama Atosmi Loke Vedecha Pratitah Purushottamaha. ठीक है, ध्यान रखना इस पॉइंट्स पर. So the word Kshar, K-S-H-A-R, is everything under Prakriti that is constantly changing relatively, and in that changing experience is this pendulum, this continuum of Sukh to Dukh. And there are levels of this. There can be extremely high, intense levels of enjoyment. Pleasures of different kinds, enjoyments of different kinds. Isn't it so? Isn't it so? We know this from life experience. So we're having a good conversation with a friend at a restaurant, and we felt, wow, health is good, the conversation is fantastic, the meal is awesome, the environment is good, the temperature is beautiful, 73 degrees, 74 degrees outside, it's sunny with just a few clouds and very fresh air, and you're sitting outside in the outside section of the restaurant, and the waiters are coming to serve you, and ye kya hai? And you have lots of money and all that kind of stuff. There's no tension at all. Family's doing well. Everything is exactly where it should be. So beautiful. What is this called? Uttama Sukh. Isn't it so? Maybe we've had some glimpses of this from time to time. This is what all of humanity is looking for, the highest level of Sukham, which human beings consider as Ananda, which it is not. This is the great mystery. We have to go into it very carefully. बहुत ध्यान से we'll progress carefully. It's very interesting. Why is it not Ananda? Because it is it cannot be sustained indefinitely. Sachin can go to a restaurant with a good friend, and this whole scenario I just described, I can sit there for an hour, maybe hour and a half, and then after maybe hour and a half, okay, now it begins to get old. The conversation continues, this and that, but now it demands change. Sukham, through the Panch Vishayas, demands change. He said, now I want to go watch a movie. Let's go watch a movie. Now after the movie, let's go do this. Let's do this. This is how the world of Prakriti works. The experience of Prakriti in the five senses is continuously changing. It is not continuous without break. The Anubhav of Sukham has never been, and will never be continuous without break. Continuous without break is called Anundam. And that is beyond Sukh and Dukh. Very difficult to understand, very difficult to explain. और अनुभव में आना वो तो अलग ही बात है. Most human beings have never discovered this. They are just trapped inside Sukh Dukh. Bhagwan Sri Krishna Paramatma is very clear. Gita ji is very clear. Sukhe dukhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo. भगवान कहते हैं, श्री भगवान उवाच, भगवान गीता जी में कहते हैं, now this is the more difficult part. Difficult in the sense this is new territory. That's samatva. Sukhe dukhe same krutva. आता है samatva? Something my ego doesn't like something in a particular way. Everything is perfect, but the dish that I ordered doesn't have enough salt, and the shaker is not on my table. It's on somebody else's table, and I'm looking immediately. Oh, I put this in my mouth. Sab sukh. It diminishes. Everything is perfect. My friend is there. Environment is there. Music is there. Everything. All the dishes nicely made, but the salt is a little bit less. The sukham immediately diminishes. Isn't it so? Isn't this our experience? This is called internal poverty. This is poverty. Poverty. Garib. Most human beings are poor, not because of money and other things. Maybe that's there also. But this is the poverty of the antakarana. Very difficult. बहुत difficult है समझने के लिए. इसके लिए we have to be very aware that this is going on. And this is where the bhakti का जो आनंद है, the rasa in bhakti, allows us to not get stuck inside these changing experiences. That rasa is there. Once our internal system gets connected to higher truth, higher consciousness, higher or ultimate saundarya. Saundarya jisko kehte hain, sundar. Let's stay with that for a moment. Sundarta, saundarya. That is Bhagavan. That is Mahashakti. That is the purified, uncontaminated power, uncontaminated joy that we are searching for. Is that joy present in the Vishaya Sukh? Yes. If it wasn't present, there wouldn't be any Vishaya Sukh. Now this is interesting. This is where people get really lost in this analysis. बहुत ध्यान रखना इस point, but it's very, very tricky to understand this. That undifferentiated, we say pure, but we can say divine, absolute saundarya, sundarta. Saundarya meaning the intense beauty. If you read Lalita Sahasranam, Devi, Mahashakti, she's described as this intense beauty. Like if you have millions of suns, light combined, and then even more than that, इसमें उनके एक एक शरीर के पार्ट में से ऐसी सौंदर्य, ऐसा तेज निकलता है भगवान के शरीर में से. This is how it is described in all different stotras and all. Bhagavad Tattva ऐसी अति सुंदर. Sundar meaning it is beyond our senses to see that. What is at the level of our senses is also because of that presence, because of that Param Saundarya Tattva, Bhagwan, Bhagavad Tattva, Bhagavati Tattva. That Tattva is present inside the body, mind, senses, inside of us, and because of the presence of Paramatma, there is Vishaya Sukh. Otherwise, there would not be even the experience of any kind, whether it is Sukh or Dukh or any kind of experience, without the presence of God. There would not be any life. That is Shivam. Now this is interesting. To recognize the presence of that Parameshwari, that Mahashakti, in the experience of Vishaya Bhog and Vishaya Sukh, any kind of Bhog of all kinds. Sachin sitting at a restaurant, having a nice conversation with a friend, and everything is perfect and beautiful and this and that. वो जो अनुभव है, वो कहाँ से आता है? Have you thought about this point? For example, you're walking in a beautiful garden and so many beautiful flowers and roses, and just the sun is shining and the temperature is so mild temperature, and the calm breezes there, and birds are chirping, and there's beautiful trees, like heavenly kind of atmosphere. कहाँ से आता है? Where does it come from? Why does that experience happen? Anubhav. Isn't it Anubhav? That is because of the presence of Parameshwari. Mahashakti. Unka presence hai. That is why the experiences of Prakriti are available. And they are on a range. From Swargalok, Mrityulok, Patalok. This range we're talking about, Sukh Dukh continuum, it actually extends into the 14 lokas. Swarga ke bhi sab levels hai up to Brahma ji ka jo lok hai, Satya Lok, and then below that Mahar Lok, Jan Lok, Tap Lok, multiple lokas are, and then there's Mrityu Lok where we are. Isme bahut sab mixture, and then there's Patal has regions below. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Mahatal, Rasatal. These are levels below. And these are 14 lokas. They are layers of reality within the Brahmand. You cannot take a spaceship and go there. वो सब समाधि में आप देख सकते हैं. That's the only way to see them. You cannot see them through any kind of, because we are in Mrityu Lok. We cannot see there. Swarga is there in the planets and other places, but it's in a different dimension. Well, it's a different subject. I don't want to go into that right now. But in our life here, we have a continuum. Now, in that continuum, when we are experiencing Sukham, the challenge here for Ishta Bhakti, Bhagwan ki jo bhakti hai, isme challenge kya hai? What is the challenge? It's a challenge or awareness that this Anubhav is coming from my Ishta Devata. Sukh ka Anubhav. What about Dukh ka Anubhav? Wo bhi. In fact, all Anubhav of the five senses. Right now, Sachin is speaking through this body, mind, senses, making a small recording here. All of you are online. Bhagwan ki bahut daya hai. Kuch certain bhav is there. Aapke man mein bhi certain bhav hai. Ye sab kya hai? What is this? Anubhav. Ye Bhagwan ka Anubhav hai. Bhagwan ki meaning Bhagwan ki krupa se Anubhav hota hai. That is accurate. So to remember Ishta Devata, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, भगवान का नाम लेना, Shri Radha, Shri Krishna, just try taking the name to remember that Paramatma, but because of you, this experience is happening. Without you, there is no experience of any kind. That's the big realization. This is called Anubhav. So another word here, I'm giving several words here, concepts and ideas. First one for today was Vishaya Sukh. And then along that, Vishaya Dukh. So it's the same, it's a revolving concept. It's a dvanda, duality. Dvanda in Sanskrit means duality, means pendulum effect. In psychology, there is a lot of research on this. It is oscillation. People oscillate. Whole humanity is oscillating between sukh dukh. और कुछ नहीं करते. इसमें ही जीते हैं, इसमें ही मरते हैं. You know that Hindi song, Jeena Yahan, Marna Yahan. Remember, some of you might be Raj Kapoor ka song in some movie. I grew up listening to that. My parents used to listen to that a lot, and everybody in the Hindu community knows that. ऐसे ही जीते, ऐसे ही मरते हैं. That's the way life goes. And then that's the end of it. आनंद की प्राप्ति, आनंद का अनुभव ही नहीं होता. ऐसे ही जीते हैं, ऐसे ही मरते हैं. And then मरते means body goes, जीवात्मा gets reborn. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Right? Obviously. That is the spiritual law. Based on puri sant parampara, all Sanatan scriptures. Isme shraddha honi chahiye. I don't want to go into theory of reincarnation here. That is a different matter. That is a different level to understand what that is exactly. Shraddha is, for our purposes, Shraddha rakhna. So, if, capital I, capital F, if, it's a big if, and then there is more qualifier. If and only if. Like in mathematics, I remember studying algebra 2. We used to have these criteria for certain equations. If and only if, then something is true. So if and only if Sachin wants Jivan Mukta Sthiti, Sachin wants Prema Bhakti, Sachin wants to see God face to face, like Ramakrishna Paramahans. If that desire is there, if and only if that desire is there, and if that wish is there, that bhav is there, that destination is there, then only, if and only if, then Ananda opens up. Not otherwise. Sorry. It will not open otherwise. वो dimension open ही नहीं होता. वो स्थिति आती ही नहीं. Because of the binding in sukh dukh, mind and senses and indriyas are constantly trying to maximize sukham. Yes, we can try that. People have tried. Not only have tried, we're doing that even now. Everybody's doing that. The whole humanity is trying to maximize sukham. But there is, unfortunately, the ego many times involved that causes harm and damage and pain. That kind of sukh is a very negative kind of sukh, in fact. To progress and to gain sukha, to gain certain experiences by harming others. That is not humanity. That is not even at the animal level. ये जो चल रहा है संसार में, this is less than animal level. Animal level is something very good, very great. Even the animals, they don't hurt each other, their own kind. They don't kill each other. Usually, they don't do that. Their life is regulated in very nice ways. Of course, they're living out their karma. But humanity is not even at the animal level. We said this before. If it comes to animal level, that would be some miracle itself. So anyway, the point is that everyone is trying to find this doorway into Ananda simply by maximizing Sukham, and it doesn't work that way. Why? Because what we are calling pleasures and joys, quote, not Ananda, that is only part of the brain and mind. Brain has certain limited capacity in terms of generating enjoyment. It has a limit. It cannot just keep expanding. It doesn't work that way. There's a limit to the neurological function of the brain. It's been designed that way to give a limited experience. But certain things, like we talked about greed, lobe and all that before, these things expand so much. So the certain experiences, the brain is involved, but the mind is more involved. And then there's no end to that. So one is endlessly trapped. That's the problem. That's the fact. So when there is a destination set for Anundam, the remembering of Ishta Devata, Bhagwan ka naam, in that experience of Sukham, it's there. It is a limited experience. It's fine. Leave it alone. Short and sweet. That's it. And leave it alone. And then move on. Because, see, here's the other point. We have to change our experiences. We don't have a choice. All of us woke up this morning. We cannot just lie in the bed saying, I want to rest just like that. It will be finished. We cannot live that way. We have to do our chores, do our duties. Na kashchit kshanamapi. Bhagwan kehte hain in the Gita, chapter 3. It's very clear. Every being has to perform action. There is no choice. We cannot maintain our body. We cannot live our life. We cannot do anything. And the actions have to be maintained, but they have to be changed. Like we do satsang here, from 7 o'clock to 7:30, Vishnu Sahasranam, then we do mantras and then exposition. And that's that. But if this just goes on 4 or 5 hours every day, it's too much, right? Yeah, it's certain limit has to be there in everything. Maryada. Isko kya kehte hain? Maryada. Another term. Bhagwan Ram ka jo charitra hai, it's a great teaching, greatest teaching for all of humanity. That is Maryada. Maryada kitni rakhni? Where is the limit? The word is also Sima. Sima means limit. And Maryada means knowing where that limit is and not crossing that. Bhagwan Ram is Maryada Purushottam. See, Maryada is very important. Where to keep that dharma, that boundary of experiences. We know how to do that. That is the art of living with great joy. So, in closing, what we can say is this much. That the Panch Vishayas exist to give us the experiences of our life. Yes. When we remember Bhagavan in those experiences, all experiences, whether we like them, we don't like them, they're good, they're bad, they're positive, negative, jo bhi anubhav hai, Bhagwan ko yaad karna isme. Because of you this experience is happening. Without you there is no anubhav. Anubhav is experience. Who is experiencing? The Jivatma. Who is making that experience happen? The Paramatma. Bhagwan anubhav karate hai jeev ko. Based on sanskars, karmas, desires, ichhas, everything. And, so swatantrata di hai, Jivatma ko. You go in whichever direction you want. Freedom is given, granted. But when freedom is granted by God as it is, and that same freedom is used to connect with Paramatma himself, itself, with Bhagavan himself, then that is absolutely fantastic. Then every moment, life experiences continue. We have to decide what experiences we want in the relative world. We have to make a lot of decisions. But to make those decisions so that the destination is not deflected, that is Narayana, destination is not deflected, our Shakti is not damaged, and our Bhakti doesn't turn or the energy within Bhakti is not destroyed. This is how it goes. So then, in the same interactions in the waking state, Swapna Avastha, Jagrat, Swapna Sushupti, there is no problem. Jivan Mukta Sthiti aa jati hai. So the point here today, simple, in closing we can say, that the Panch Vishayas are there. The Saundaryam is a direct doorway to remember Paramatma. We see beautiful flowers, take the name of Sri Krishna, Sri Radha, Sri Shivji, Bhagwan ka koi bhi naam lena. That because of you, this experience is coming as beautiful. then you connect that experience with, it's connecting the experiences of the senses with the presence of the divine. When we know how to do that, then the internal freedom naturally opens up. If we don't know how to do that, if we don't do that, then we'll be chasing that Sukum, one flower, another flower, this thing, that thing. It just goes on and on and on and on. And it gets saturated. Iska jo freshness, newness, the appreciation goes away. Because of oversaturation. It is called the extinguishing of the Vishaya Sukh by oversaturation. And that is the ego that wants to extinguish that. It wants to grab hold of that Vishaya Sukh, thinking that it is Anundam, and it is not. Okay, let's stop here for now. We'll pick this up tomorrow. There's a lot of other things to talk about. We'll keep moving into this very carefully. Bhagwan ki daya se sab clear ho jayega. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvadau Maim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Swaha Durge Rakshani Thatha Swaha Om Sarvamangalamangale Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanyatrambake Devi Narayani Namostute Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha.